I can see the screen.
Okay. So yesterday we were talking about two different types of georeferencing that can be done in GIS. One is actually called as direct georeferencing, in which process we are going to give the coordinate values directly to the points that we're going to select. Now, the second type of georeferencing, or the second method of georeferencing, is called as on-the-fly georeferencing. Basically, that is the only thing that has a different term. So the other one is just simply called as georeferencing. Now, in case of on-the-fly georeferencing, what happens is that you will not be able to give that particular coordinate over there. Yes, you can, but it will not be available on the map. So here, what we're going to do right now is, if you see, this map is not georeferenced, which I've just added over here, and it is being displayed at a different location where other than where it should actually be displayed. So first step in this process is to move this data or this map or this image to the actual location where you want to georeference it, which is somewhere over here. So first I'm going to use the zoom tool. I'm going to navigate to the location where I want to georeference that image. As you see, the moment I zoom in beyond a particular level, more and more details are getting displayed over here. So right now it is at 3578902. Now if I zoom in further, I'm getting even more details being displayed. I zoom in a bit more further, even more details. So depending on which scale and which map that you're using, you might be able to access different kinds of detail based on the zoom levels. So that is another aspect of using a base map. Now at a zoom level beyond 400,000, you can see the district boundaries also getting displayed over here. Now we'll be using this to actually georeference the map. This map, which is currently lying somewhere near Ghana and Nigeria, I believe. Yeah, Ghana, Nigeria, and Benin, Togo. So first we have to move this map to the location that we need the map to be georeferenced in. So for that, I'm going to go to the georeferencing toolbar and give fit to display. And then I'm going to identify the points, that is the unique points on the map. Now the first point that I'm going to identify is a point of intersection between the state boundary, that is this one, and the district boundary, or the shared district boundary between two different districts. So I get this point. Now I have to find out the corresponding point in the base. Now I've given one point on the north. Now I'm going to select another point to the south. Now the reason why I'm taking one to the north and one to the south is so that once you give 2 points diagonally at either end of your map, the entire map will get scaled. Now in this scenario, it's not possible for me to give an exact diagonal point, but I'm going to take the next best thing. That is, I'm going to ensure that the maps are not concentrated to one part of the map, but are distributed across the entire map, as well as I'm not going to give everything in the north and then come to the south, but I'm giving one in the north and one in the south. So even in this scenario, I'll be able to scale the map to fit better. So it makes finding out the next points a bit more easier. I'm going to select this point. And I'm going to find out where that point is supposed to lie. Now for the third point. Now for the fourth point. Now I can give transparency so that I can see the underlying layer or the base map, so that and check out the fit. Now if you see here, there's a slight variation, a little bit towards the north could be given, so you get a better fit. So I'm just going to search for another point which can be given and see if that helps us solve the issue. Now, mind you, the map that we are currently working with is not to scale, so we will not be able to get an exact match. And if you notice, there is actually a variation or a difference between the boundaries depicted in the map as and the boundaries depicted in our base map. Now, if you see here, there is a slight variation between the actual geometry of the district boundary depicted in the map and in the base map. So sometimes you do get some data that is inaccurate. Usually during this time, you might ask for a better map from a client, or you might have to make do with what you have. So depending on which scenario you're working with. And usually what happens in most of the cases that I've seen is that we'll have to work with whatever we have at hand, even though we might be compromising on the accuracy part. There are some maps that are literally hand drawn, and you can't get any better maps than that. So for such situations and such scenarios, there's nothing much can be done. So you'll have to use whichever map is available. So right now what I'm doing is I'm trying to get the best possible fit that I can. I'm changing the points, I'm giving different points, and I'm seeing which gives me the best fit. Now, the moment I delete a point and I give a new one, you can see there's a slight change happens based on the existing points. So using these trial and error method, I'm trying to find out the best possible georeferencing methodology or the georeferencing. Or you could say the fit, actually. It's the fit. Now, if you notice, I've only given unique points, but I've left out this much area and I've left out this side of the map. Now, the reason why I've left out this side of the map is because this side is actually with the ocean and I don't get many unique points over there. So the most of the points are either distributed to your eastern side of the map. And if you see the distribution of the points, you've got 2 points to the south, you've got 1 point to the north, or 3 points to the north, if you're taking this to be the center. So in that case, I'm trying to find out some point in the center, probably towards this side, to make the distribution a bit more even than what it currently is. So always try to keep your control point distribution or your GCP points. This is also called as ground control points. These GCP control link points distributed across your map. Try not to have the points concentrated at one particular area or one particular side of the map. Now, the reason why we shouldn't do that is very simple, because this map is what is going to make your, these points are what is going to make your map fit across your actual area. Now, if you concentrate these points towards one part of your map, what happens is that only that point will get georeferenced, whereas there is a high chance for the rest of the map to get skewed up. Now, this point, yes, I understand there's a variation. This is the actual boundary that has been displayed. But if you see here, the geometry of the boundary itself is different. Instead of coming for an inverted U, it is coming like this. So we can, whereas the rest of the map does match up. So we're just going to go with this. Like I told you, this is a trial and error method. So when once you get the best possible fit that you can, you stick with it. Now, there's another way in which you can verify whether this particular fit is correct or not. For that, you have to use a different toolbar called as FX toolbar. Now, this FX toolbar can be applied to any layer for that matter, any of the data that you've added over here. You just have to select the data. This is called as a swipe tool, which you can then use to swipe and see like this. You can also swipe from bottom to top, top to bottom, left to right, and right to left. Now, the swipe tool also gives you the option to define the transparency. That is, if this is a swipe tool, you have your transparency up over here. Now you can change the transparency. Now, if you look at the point distribution, I've got one over here, one over here, one over here, one over here, and one over here. So there is no particular area in which all the points are concentrated, but it's distributed almost evenly across the entire map. So this is ideally, again, I emphasize on the word ideally, how the points are supposed to be distributed across the map. Now, I believe everybody has received the links to download the data from my Google Drive. Now, today's process, I'll be showing you a little bit more before I ask you to complete the assignment. That is the editing part, how to create a shapefile and how to start editing. Now, once that is done, your task would be to recreate this map in its entirety. However you see it right now, that is the exact same way. Yeah, the colors can be changed, but other than that, I need you to recreate this map as such. Now, by doing this exercise, you will be learning how to digitize, how to create a shapefile, how to give symbology, and how to label. Label in the sense how to give non-spatial data, as well as how to display the non-spatial data on your map. So these are the four topics that you'll be seeing through this one exercise. Actually, five, including georeferencing, for that matter. So once you have given the points, you have finalized on the georeferencing part, you have to give update georeferencing. Now the georeferencing is saved. Now next comes the process of creating a shapefile so that you can capture these district and state boundaries, as well as the point files. That is, yeah. So as far as the legend of this map is concerned, you've got a state boundary, you've got a district boundary, you've got a district HQ, you also have the state capital. So in order to create a shapefile or to do any kind of geodatabase editing or modification, you have to use the software called as ArcCatalog. Now, in the newer versions, that is starting from ArcMap 10.0 onwards, ESRI has very conveniently allowed us a plugin, a window of ArcCatalog available inside ArcMap itself. So we'll be using this to create a shapefile in our desired folder. So usually you will not be having any of these folder connections, or you'll have one home, but you won't have all these other folders that you see, because this is my laptop. I've been doing certain analysis now. So this is why you get all these things, but otherwise it'll be a pretty small, pretty new. Now, there is a method in which, or this process has to be followed in order to be able to access any data that is there in your drive. Now for that, first you have to make a folder connection. That is, you have to show the path to wherever the data is being stored, or where do you want the data to be stored, either way. Now, ideally, you can make, it is possible to make the path to each and every folder in which you have the data. But I would prefer that ideally you create just one particular path to the drive. If it is in your laptop, you have a drive, you might have multiple partitions. Each partitions will have a drive letter. In that case, create a path to a single drive and not to a single folder. Or else you could create into one main folder in which you're going to store all your project details. That is also possible. But try not to create too many folder connections, because again, that is going to make your system slow or make your software slow, and it could cause a crash. Now, I'll give you a fair bit of warning right now. That is, your ArcMap if you're using a cracked version, it is very prone to crash. Even the non-cracked version also is always prone to crash because of the system, it being very heavy on the system. You can expect your ArcMap to crash at any point of time. And doing certain things actually increases the possibility of an ArcMap crash. So keep in mind to reduce the number of folder connections, as well as do not use the save. That is, do not save your map as a map document. The reason being, again, it will increase the chances of ArcMap crashing on you. Now, if you cannot use the shape, don't worry. If the save is just to save as a map document in which your layout and your table of contents along with the symbology will be stored. But if you have to store your data, you will have to use this save edits at any cost. So basically, there is no point in you just say using this other than making it easy for you to open it up the next day. Now, yes, you can do that. You can still save it as an MXT file and then you can open the file the next day. But again, like I was trying to explain, the chances of ArcMap crashing using repeatedly using a single MXT is very high. So try to avoid that as much as possible. Now, you might ask me then how do we do the work the next day? See, here you have to understand one thing is that in a CAD file, you only have one file in which all the data is being stored. Now, this is not similar to a AutoCAD file. Your MXT file is much more similar to a template. It's much more similar to your UI being saved, whereas your data is being stored in a database that will be either in your geodatabase or in a shapefile. So as long as your data is safe and saved, there's no need for you to save this MXT document or an ArcMap layout document. Now MXD, the reason why I'm repeating the word MXD is because the extension that comes with comes on saving this is .mxd. So try not to use that. Again, that is totally left up to you, but that is this is my suggestion. Now coming on to how to create a shapefile, first go to ArcCatalog, give a folder connection. You can just right click and give connect to folder, or you can use this button that is there on top, connect to folder. Then you will have to navigate to the particular folder or the drive that you want to. I only have one partition, so this is it, and I can give say GIS. So now I've created a folder connection to the folder called as GIS, and I'll be able to access all that is there inside that particular folder. Okay. Now any data inside this folder can be accessed through ArcCatalog. Now if there is any relevant data, that will be displayed over here. If there are no relevant data, then it will just show blank. There's actually a different so this doesn't have any relevant data, so that's why it's showing as blank. Now, if you don't want this folder connection, right click and give disconnect to folder. That's also fine. So I'm going to go to C under GIS. I'm going to click on the GIS and right click, go to new and create a new folder. And I'm going to name this something that makes sense to me. Then right click again onto the new folder in which I'm going to save this data, and I'm going to select shapefile. Now here, first process is to name. Now the first process is to name the file, that is now here what is the data that we are going to capture. One is a district boundary, one is a state boundary, then you have to capture the point files, that is the state HQ and the state capital, which is again indicated using a point feature. So we'll be capturing three different types of data. So we'll have to create three different shapefiles. Now the first one is district. Now I have to give a different feature type, like we had discussed in our previous sessions. A vector file will be represented, or a vector model will be represented as a point, line, or a polygon. Now in this scenario, a district, or any scenario, a district is usually represented as a polygon. I'm going to select that. And next comes the most important process, that is the assigning of a coordinate system. Please do ensure that you assign the correct coordinate system. Whichever area that you're working for has a coordinate system that is much more preferred, which was again, you were supposed to find it out. Edit. Now, in order to assign a coordinate system, go to Edit. Select the coordinate system that you have assigned to georeference the map. Now, in this case, I had used a geographic coordinate system. I'm going to use that. And there you go. I've created a new shapefile, which is visible over here. Now I'm going to create another one that is for state boundary. Which is again a polygon. Now edit, assign a coordinate system, and so. Now I'm going to create another shapefile. Now if you notice, I've not used space, but instead I've used underscore. Now spaces and hyphens are something that is not accepted in shapefile nomenclature at all. So you'll have to use underscore, or you have to totally disregard the space and write it as a single word. Now again, assigning the coordinate system. And there you go. Now if you look onto the symbology over here, a polygon, you can make out a slight polygon type of a symbol showing up. For points, you have these points. Now if you're going to create a line, I'll just show you what is going to happen when you create a line. This was a symbol used to denote a line feature. So different vector model will be represented using a different symbology. So if you see multiple shape files like this, you will be able to identify which is the model that is used. So in this scenario, I know that this is a polygon, this is a point. Now I know that this is also a polygon, this is also a polygon, this is an Excel file. So this is a raster data. This is a geodatabase. These three are different geodatabases. Again, I've got a point shapefile, I've got a polygon shapefile. So if you can identify the symbology, it's very easy for you to identify what kind of data is being stored and which is the model that is being used to store it. Now I'm just going to create one more file. Again, I had already created that. I'll just recreate that again and I'll name it construct line. It will be polyline, and I'm going to give the same coordinate system as the rest. Okay. Now comes the process of editing. Now for editing, you need to have your snapping tool. Now the snapping here works the same way as it does in AutoCAD. That is, it will get your cursor or your point that you're trying to draw will match up with those values that you're selecting over here. Now, before you start editing, you have to give start editing over here before you can do any kind of edit. Now, before that, I would like everybody to go to the options, and under the sticky move tolerance, I would like you to give a new value ranging a minimum of 3. And if this is switched on, switch it off. Now under topology, again, if this is switched on, that is stretch topology proportionality when moving a topology element, switch it off. Now you can change your under units, angular units from quadrant bearing. It could usually be polar or some other thing. I'm not sure which is the default setting coming up. You could change that to quadrant bearing, and you could use direction units as decrement seconds. Now, in case your table of contents is closed as such like this, you can go to Windows and open up your table of contents. Now, I would also like you to go to Customize, go to the extension, go to your extensions and see if all these are enabled. Now, these might not be required for you right now, but it's a good idea to keep them enabled so that you'll be able to use them when the need arises. Now you can also, suppose you don't get your catalog window up like this, you can access your catalog window from here, or you can go to Windows and access your catalog system over here. Now you have ArcToolbox coming up. Now ArcToolbox is a topic that we'll be covering in your advanced classes. So I'm not going to go into that right now. So let's start editing. Now for that, the first step is go to the editor, click onto that editor on your editor toolbar. A drop-down box will pop up in which you are supposed to give start editing. Now your editing is done. Means you are in an edit session. This is called as an edit session. You have enabled an edit session. Now what you can do is you can create polygons, lines, and points. Now for that, you can go to your editing window and open up your create features. This one. Now all the features will be listed here once they are visible. So I've checked this particular layer or the shapefile that is called as district. Now once I've clicked this on or switched it on, you can see they are getting displayed over here. Now I can select this, select a polygon, and draw a polygon. Now we're talking about snapping. Now this is edge snapping or vertex snapping, in which your mouse will get snapped at the vertex or any vertices. Then you have edge snapping, in which only the edges will be under consideration. You can also have a combination of these two, in which both edge and vertex. This is end snapping and this is point snapping. In case if you have a point file and you want to snap onto that, you have to use this one. In addition to that, you also have these many options. One is called a snap to sketch. Now what is sketch? This rough is called as a sketch. Now if you want to create or finalize the sketch, you can either press F2, you can double click, or you can right click and go to finish sketch. Click, 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 and double click. You have created a polygon. Now, there are multiple ways how you can create polygon in your advanced editing session, not your advanced GIS part. But in your advanced editing session, we'll be seeing how we can, or I'll just show you that right now, how we can use line features to create polygons. Suppose this is a line feature. Yeah, actually, this is the line feature. Now I'm going to select all these line features and I'm going to use this tool called as construct polygon, and I'm going to select which template or which layer I want to create the polygon in. And there you have it. I have a polygon created based on the outline formed by the line features. Now just keep that in mind. Now let me explain a little bit more about your table of contents. Now this is called as your list by drawing order, in which the top part or the layers or the file that comes on top is actually displayed first, and then comes the second, which is the construct line, then comes district and state, and the final comes your georeference map, and your at the last comes your base map. Now, this is generally a good idea to have your data arranged in such a manner, that is with your any point shape files or point files coming on top, then comes your line features, then comes your polygons. Now, if you have multiple polygons, you could arrange them in the order from the smaller size to the bigger size. Now, in this scenario, your district boundary is much smaller than your state boundary. So I've put them on top of the state boundary. This is list by source. Now here your data is divided or listed based on which source or where your data is being stored and what is the source of that data. So this shapefile, fortunately, are all under the same folder. So under the folder name, everything is listed. Your Kerala, the map that was georeferenced is in a different folder. So we are seeing two folders and they are being displayed here. Now the third one is list by visibility. Here, all those layers or the features that are visible are grouped together, and those that are not visible are grouped separately. If you notice this blue, this icon over here, this is to toggle selection. Now, if this is enabled, you will be able to select features from this layer, and if it is disabled, you will not be able to select it. Now, this is list by selection. Now, the difference between this and this, that is list by visibility and list by selection, is in list by visibility, everything that is selectable or visible is being grouped together. Now, list by selection, here, everything that is selectable is listed together, and those that are not selectable is listed separately. Now, you will not be able to rearrange the drawing order in either of these three different views. You can only do the drawing order, you can rearrange the drawing order in list by drawing order. So each of these views has different purposes. Now again, you will not be able to make a particular layer selectable or not from this, but you can make them visible. That is one thing that can be done. You can make them visible, you can make them invisible. You can access the properties, which again, you can access properties from all these three different views also, but selection cannot be controlled from your list by drawing order. Now, under your selection, you can control the visibility. You can also control the selection. Yeah. So now let me just create a construct line. Say these are all a few lines that are there. And then you have few polygons. Now, suppose I want to select only the line. I can do this, or I can select only the polygon. I'll have to enable the selection over here, and only then will I be able to select it. Now, if you have noticed before, I'm able to select this line individually. That is, on the first click, I'm able to select it. But see what happens when I rearrange the drawing order. Now I've brought district on top. See the line features getting covered or moves under the or is displayed under the polygon. Now this makes selection of line features very difficult, and also it makes identifying the line features or verifying whether the geometry of the line features is correct very difficult. So be careful, and please keep this in mind that you can always rearrange the drawing orders to make your data that you want to view using a drawing order. Now, under your list by selection, you will be able to get an idea of what are the features that are selected or how many number of features have been selected. Right now, I've selected around 6 lines and 2 polygons, which count will be given over here. Now, if I want to deselect a particular layer, I can click this white. If I want to switch off the selection of this layer, I can also do that. Now, if I want to deselect the entire thing, I can use this tool, clear selected feature, that is there in your tools toolbar. So this is direct deselection of all the features that have been selected, whereas this tool or this button is to select a particular layer alone or deselect a particular layer alone. There we go. Now, if you have gone through the document, you would know that here all the data is stored in forms of tables. You can right click onto your district or any of the layer that you want or any of the features that you want to see, and you can go to open attribute table, in which the polygons, which currently 1, 2, 3, 4 are being listed as rows over here. Now rows indicate the number of features and the columns indicate your non-spatial data. Now for a shape file, during the time of creation, it's not possible to add in fields, especially when you're creating it through ArcMaps, ArcCatalog. So what we do is we have to give fields to store the non-spatial data. In that case, we have to give stop editing. At that time, this will come. Give yes if you want to save the edits. And then use this tool or table options. You have an option called as add field. Select onto the add field and select a field name or create a field. Say district name. Now give a type. Now you have different types that it can be given. You have got short integer, long integer, float, double, text, and date. Short integer is to store integer values with a maximum of 3 digits. Long integer, you can have more than 3 digits. Again, only integer. Float, you can have 2 decimal points. Double, you can have more than 2 decimal points. I think float you'll have 4 decimal points, and in double you'll have more than 4 decimal points. Text obviously is to store text, and date is a special format to store date. So you have to specify what kind of data are being stored in the particular field. Now, since a name is always going to be in text, I'm going to select text and give OK. Now you see a new column has been added against all these rows. Now if I want to create more field, I can just go to add field again and say state name. Yeah, state name here. Now I'm going to do the same for state boundary. So for state boundary, I've not created any polygons at all till now. So that is why there are no rows being created over here. You've got 0 by 0. Under district, you have 0 out of 4 selected. Now, if you select a polygon and you just want to see the details regarding the selected one, you can click onto the bottom one called as Show Selected Records, and you can see only the selected records. Now, you can highlight the selected records, and you can zoom to the highlighted. You can reselect the highlighted, or you can unselect the highlighted. Yeah, we were talking about the state boundary. Now here I'm going to add in the field. Now this one was created by mistake. I didn't want to create a field called as state and with an ID of short integer. So you can right click onto the column. I can right click on the name of the column and I can give delete field. So that field is deleted. Now you will not be able to delete this one. I would suggest that you don't do that, and don't delete these two. These two cannot be deleted. This also cannot be deleted. These are system centric, but and also try not to delete ID also. Now this is for places of interest. Again, you have to create name, type. Again, I'm going to keep it as text. Now I'm going to go back to start editing, and I'm going to start the actual edits. So let's see how we can actually edit this map. So first go to create features. Now, since I've shown you the option of creating a polygon using line, you can use that method. You can select onto construct line or any of the line features that you have. You can trace this out, this boundary as such. Now, right now you have got a straight segment as selected. You can also use endpoint arc segment, in which case this is the first point, second point, and then you can control the curvature. Now, if you want to go back, you don't want this, you can just press Ctrl Z. You get the undo option. You also have various other tools available over here. You can just click onto this black arrow drop down box, and you can use tangent curve, which is this one. You have arc segment curve, in which you'll be selecting first this point will be taken, the second point, and then the third point will actually determine the curvature. You don't want these, press Ctrl Z, press Ctrl Z again, press Ctrl Z. So you can use a combination of tools at any point of time. Now this is actually a curve which can be created. So I'm just going to create that curve like this. Now here, I'm not going to use the curve, I'm just going to use the tangent curve. So because it gives me a much more smoother profile. I've used two tangent curves in a succession. And now I'm going to use another tangent curve, a straight line segment now. another tangent curve. Now another tangent curve. Are those two in succession? Now another one coming up. Oh, might have to reduce the line segment. Yeah, there you go. You get a much cleaner profile. Now, if you don't want the snapping, you can either disable snapping over here, or you can press and hold spacebar to disable snapping temporarily. Now, once you leave it, it will again start snapping as long as you have given snap to sketch. Now, if you have not enabled this, it won't snap to the sketch. Now, since it's a line segment, I can just finish F2 and I've created a line segment as such. Now, I'm going to start from this end. Feel free to change the zoom level when you're editing so that you get the best possible profile that you can get. And at these points, that is where the symbology overlaps. Just assume that just assume a particular path and stick with it. So if you notice, I've been creating these lines in such a way that they form an enclosed space. Now, if I select this line, and this one, I'm getting an enclosed place over here. So I'll be able to create a polygon. Okay, I'm not getting an enclosed space here. Okay, now this is an enclosed space. Now I'll be able to create a polygon over here, but I will not be able to create anywhere else. So if I'm using this one, see, a polygon will be created over here, here. Any point or any place that is actually enclosed with the lines that we have selected, a polygon will get created. For example, this small one, which is actually not needed. So once you've created the entire boundary, you can use this and create all the polygons at one shot in a single process. 1, 2, 3, and 4 polygons have been created. You also have this one. Now, if you see, this polygon and this one are supposed to be under the same district indicated by the color code. But if you see here, we have got two different boundaries coming up, and these are actually two separate polygons. Now, if you want to merge a polygon, you can select the two polygons, go to editor and use the tool called as merge. You can select the polygon that you want to merge to. So depending on which polygon that you select, the attributes of that polygon will be retained, and the other polygon will, the non-selected one, suppose if I'm selecting this one, the attributes of this polygon will be retained, whereas this polygon will take up all the attributes from the bigger polygon. Now a polygon or this one will now constitute as a single feature as far as the system is concerned. Now a single feature having two distinct shape or two distinct boundaries are called as multiparts. Now if you want to remove a multipart, or if you don't want a multipart polygons or lines or points for that matter, you can just select them and use this tool called as explode multipart feature, and they will revert back to being individual polygons. Editor, merge, there you go. Now it is possible to give different color codes. Before we go to symbology, I would like to show you how to attribute them. Now right now these are just polygons which doesn't have any identification to them. You have not assigned the state, you have not assigned the district names. District would be the local administration. Again, a district is further subdivided into much more smaller local administrations in our country. In my country, and I'm not sure how the divisions are there in yours, but the entire country is divided into multiple states. States are divided into different districts, and districts are then further subdivided. So here what we are capturing are the district boundaries. Now these are just polygons as such. They do not hold any information other than the shape. Now in order to ascertain that information is why in the previous step we had created fields or attributes. Now is the time to populate them or to give those values. Now for that, select the polygon, or if you are going to give a comment, you can select all the polygons. That's also fine. Use this. This is called as the attribute window. There is actually two different attributes. One is attribute window, that is over here, and there is your attribute table, that is over here. See the difference? This is attribute table and this is attribute window. Now attribute window is used to attribute a data. Attribute table is used to create a field or do any kind of changes to the field values. Now if you want to give a common value, you can select all the polygons or all the data that you want, all the features that you want, and select onto the layer, and you can type in the common value over here. It can be anything. Now, if you do this manner, it is very easy for you to give that values. So otherwise, you'll have to give them individually. Now, for those unique values, for those individual values, you'll have to select a polygon, open up attribute window. Now, it is sometimes when you open up or when you're opening up the attribute window for the first time, it might be coming up like this, which you can click and drag over here, and you can dock it onto your left hand side, and you can hide it, auto hide. So if you're going to auto hide it, you can bring your cursor up over here, and then you can type in the values. Now, this small parcel of land is not actually a part of the state. It is a different, under different, actually, this is a part of a different state, actually. It's called as Indian territory. So once you have given those values over there, once you have populated your fields, it is possible to display them by going to your properties, under labels. Now this is properties for each and every layer, which you'll have to give it individually. If this is unchecked, you can check this and then select the value or the field that you want the names or the values to be displayed. You can give different font sizes. Okay, there you go. You've got the names being displayed now. All right. Now the next step would be to assign a symbology. Again, double click or right click and go to properties. Both will give you the same result. In that, you'll have to go to the Symbology tab. That is over here. Now you've got different methods or manner in which you can display data. You can have a single symbol, which is the default settings right now. So every polygon, every feature in that particular layer will be represented as the same. You won't be able to identify them. Or else you could go to categories, use unique values under district name, add all values, and each and every different value will be represented as a different color. Now you could also have unique values, many fields, in which you can use a combination of two different attributes and use that to be displayed here. Now in that case, if I want to single out this one, I can also either go to here, I can double click on this and make it hollow. There, that becomes hollow. Or I could do this and I could just double click over here where a symbol selector opens up. You've got an option of hollow, I can increase this and can make it like this. So in this scenario, I would be able to see the map underneath. So this is the preferred method of displaying data when you're editing, because it makes viewing your underlying source data much more easier. Now you can also fill it up with different colors that are here. If you want more colors, you have got your palette, SGB, RGB, all the properties and everything. Or you have the pre-existing palette. You can use no color to make it hollow. You can give up a different color. So yeah, and you also suppose you have numerical values. You can use those numerical values to let me just give you an idea of what can be done. Yeah, anyway, um, if you have got a value field in which, say, for example, a population data, now that population data is actually again populated against your district boundary or local administration. So in that scenario, if you want to represent the data using your population values as an source or as an criteria, you can select the particular numerical value over here or particular field which holds the population data over here, and then you can give percentage of total or different options, and you can give classification and it will show you based on that. You can give charts, you can give multiple attribute. So these are the different options that you have for symbology or represent data. Now, how to create point data? It's the same process. Select or make the point data visible. And before you do that, I would suggest you make this hollow, make the polygon hollow. Go to your create features, select your point feature. You've got your construction tools at the end, at the bottom over here. And now you can select onto the click. Now here you don't have to give F2 or double click, just a single click will do the job. Now this is the state capital. I'm going to type in the value. I'm going to select all the other points. Now again, I was not able to select it because these were not enabled. Now I've only enabled the points and I'm selecting all the points together. Going to attributes. Now type is district HQ. Now I have to give the individual names one by one. Now you can view the entire thing over here, see all the values have been populated and filled. Now I want to give two different symbologies to represent them based on them being two different kinds. So I'm going to use the type. Now I can double click over here and I can change the symbol for each and everything. So I'm going to double click onto this more purple colored point feature, and I can give a different can change the color, reduce the size. Now if you want to label them, properties, under labels, categories. This is for the districts. Now the label looks too big, so just go to labels and reduce the size of the label. Okay. Now, other than this method of creation of polygons, there are different methods in which you can do the same. Now, if I close ArcMap right now, none of these edits will be saved. Now, if I have to save these edits, that is the creation of polygons, creation of line, all these attributions that I've done, I have to go to editors and give save edits. Now, keep in mind to do this at a fixed interval or as frequently as possible. Now, coming back to the topic. Yeah, there are different ways how you can create polygons. Now, one method is using lines to create polygons. Now, before we go to the next method, let me just change the symbology to and make all these things hollow. So there's no limit on how much, what you want to do, or how many times you want to change the symbology. So right now you have been seeing the method in which we used a line feature, that is this one, to create a line, create a polygon. But now the next method is you're going to directly create a polygon. Now for that, again, we're going to be using the create features. I'm going to select the district, and on the construction tool, you have multiple options in which I'm going to create I'm going to select the polygon. Now, if you just select the district over here, the polygon will, or the polygon tool will be automatically activated. Now, unless until you want to change them, you don't have to worry about that. You can just start your job. Now, let's start from the south. Now, here also you have the same option of using tangents, curves, trace, or any of the other tools that were available or that are available. Sorry. But the difference between line and a polygon is that a polygon has to cover an area. So if you look, if I give F2 or if I finish the sketch now, I'm getting a polygon as like this, which is not the polygon that I want. So as far as polygon is concerned, you will have to finish the entire shape before you can finish the sketch. So God forbid if in between your ArcMap crashes, then the edits that you have done cannot be saved. So basically, you cannot save anything that is still a sketch because that the system will not be recognizing that as a feature. There you go, a polygon is created. Now you can create another polygon right over here. Now if you're using a snapping tools, now I've given vertex and edge snapping. I've snapped to this vertex. I can also use the trace tool and trace this edge because this is a common boundary between these two districts. And from here, once that common boundary is created, I can start using the other tools to continue my work. Now, if you want to zoom in and zoom out, you can also use your mouse wheel. Now, this is one method that is creating invisible polygons. Now, there's another method in which you can create your district boundaries, like say, for example, or the method would be starting from here again. Let's just continue this as such. Now I'm going to start the trace again from here. I'm going to use the trace tool and trace onto this boundary. Again, trace tool. Now after coming to this point, again I'm going to change the tool to trace tool, and I'm going to finish at my starting point. Now this is one big polygon in which I don't have any internal divisions. So in order to do that, I'm going to select the polygon, and I can use this tool called as cut polygon tool, and I can cut out the individual polygon boundaries. Now the same part, same process, I'll be drawing the boundaries in the manner that I want it to be cut. Now remember here, in order the tool to work, it should also form an enclosed boundary or an enclosed space. Now here, the system can identify which is the left and right of the line or the sketch that you have drawn, and you got another polygon created or another district that has been created right now. And it will only cut on those areas that are under selection. So now if I draw something like this, nothing is going to happen. But if I draw something like this, yes. Now there is another tool or another method that can be used, that is this one called as split polygons, in which you use a line feature to split the polygons. Now you use a line feature to cut the polygons, now you can use this line feature to split the polygons. Now if this is the line feature, you select the line feature, click onto this tool, now select the target, and there you go. Another polygon has been created. Now there are multiple ways how you can create the polygons. Now regarding the state boundary, now if you look at the boundaries right now, you can see that the state boundary is actually uh, a single polygon which has the district boundaries divided. So you could say that the state boundary consists of all the district polygons merged into a single polygon. Now, if you want to create a district boundary, you don't have to digitize the entire thing, because it is very well possible to just copy the entire shape, right click, and then paste it under the state boundary. Now, once you've done that, you can go to merge, select all the polygons together, and select one in which you have not given any values and give 0. So now you have the state boundary. Or else you could individually capture it also, that's also fine. That is also totally up to you. Okay, so we have districts and yeah. Okay, let's stop at this point. The map layout, how to create a map layout, that we will see after you have completed this particular task. Now, not only this task, I'll be giving you one more task before we go on to the next topic, because I need you guys to be familiar with how you can edit, how you can modify, how where the tools are. So till you guys are familiar with the tools and how to use them, different methods, and the basic knowledge regarding the editing part, we will be stuck at this particular state. Now, if you notice here, there are no gaps between the polygons. That is because they share a common boundary and there are no gaps supposed to come between the district boundaries. Now the state boundary again matches with the district boundary. There is no alignment difference like this. Now, in case you have your sticky move tolerance still set as 0, so what happens is that even a slight movement will be registered as a movement of your polygon. Now, if you want to move your polygon, you can just select onto the polygon. You get this X coming up, which indicates the center point, and you can use this tool to rotate the polygon based on that X, or any feature for that matter. Or if you want to change the axis, you can bring your cursor up to this X, click and move your cursor down, and then the axis will change. Okay. Now, if your sticky point move tolerance or sticky move tolerance is 0, then a very slight movement also would be registered. See, such a slight movement will be registered. But on the other hand, if you give a little bit of, say, 3, in that case, only significant movement will be registered, not anything less than that. So if I give 10, in that sense, I can move my mouse this much and still the movement will not be registered. Okay. So this giving a sticky move tolerance actually prevents you unknowingly from moving your polygons from its intended location without knowledge. So for me, the ideal part would be 3. I am very much familiar, means I'm much comfortable working with 3 as the sticky move tolerance. Now, if you want to move the particular polygon or any feature and snap it onto a different feature, you can move your axis that is marked by X to any of the edge or vertex, and then use your move tool to match it up. Now, in addition to those tools, as far as line is concerned, you also have one additional tool called as, you have seen cut polygon. Now there is another tool called a split line or split tool, in which you're going to split the line into different line segments. Select a line segment, select this tool, and click onto the place where you want the split to be formed. And there you go, you have a split. So this is similar to the split polygon tool, but in the split polygon, you split a polygon, here you split a line. Yeah, well, that's it. So complete this, recreate your this map for the start. Let's practice with this map because you have seen exactly how to do it. I have just done it for you. I know I've not completed it, but I've already done almost 90% of the job here. I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more polygons, or 6 more polygons to create. I've shown you how to label and create the state boundary. And the map layout part, we'll be discussing it at a later date. And that is after you finish this task. Is that all right with everybody? Any doubts? Are you guys online?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're online.
So any doubts?
Let's work on it. I'm not sure that, I don't know. I follow you, yeah, but
okay. So let's just wait. You try practice it. You will get some doubts coming up. You will get some concerns. So let's just see what are those concerns in the coming sessions. Sometimes you might not be able to create a polygon, something or the other will go wrong. So let's see what comes up when you're trying to practice it, and then a few sessions will be a Q&A type of sessions going forward till you have completed this particular task. So ideally, you should be able to complete this task in an hour. I've been explaining and I've been able to complete it, almost completed. So yeah, it shouldn't take much time. It's not a very hard task right now. The next one would probably be on a bigger scale, so that might take a little bit more time. So kindly try to practice this today.
Sorry, I was briefly disconnected.
Yeah, do you have a doubt? How long were you disconnected for?
After you start giving us the assignment, I was
no.
disconnected.
No, the assignment is just to recreate this map, which I had already mentioned at the beginning.
Okay.
So were you able to download this map? Everybody has been able to download it. I had sent a mail yesterday, immediately after the session with the recordings.
Yes, sir. We were able to download it.
Okay, so that's perfect. You have all the tools that you need. Let's georeference it and do it.
Okay, thank you very much. I think today was more fantastic because I had to discover more tools that at first I was not used to. But
Okay.
now I can see from the presentation of today there are so many tools that after this
Yes.
I will just try and see how they're working.
Thank you so much for that. Yes, I will ensure that you try all these tools one by one. And each different methods has its own advantages and disadvantages. For example, if you're going to create a single polygon one by one, there are chances that certain vertex might not snap with each other if you don't use the trace tool. So in that scenario, there are chances that gaps might be found between the polygons. So that in that case, you might have to spend more time to remove such errors. But on the other hand, if you create a single polygon and use a split tool, then that gaps might not be found. But again, it might take you more time to do it because you'll have to ensure that all the sketches that you do using a cut polygon tool is in a completely enclosed area. Now, the third method, that is using a line feature, it is not always possible for you to create in a database and have a line feature present. If you have it, you can very well use it. If you don't have it, then you will not be able to use it. Now, if you have that option, yes, it's a good idea to use that because as far as the line is concerned, the moment you draw a segment, you can finish the segment and save it and then start from the next segment onwards. But for a polygon, you create the entire polygon or you finish at least a part of the polygon and then you give finish, then it will be very difficult for you to start. Now, yeah, one more tool that I forgot, I missed out was this one that is called as a Reshape feature tool. So yeah, let me just select this. Now, if you want to change the shape of this, you don't have to delete and redo it. You can use this Reshape feature tool over here, select the polygon and start from or inside the intended area. So if you want to change this particular part of the polygon, you can start from the edge and finish onto the edge. Then the entire geometry changes. Now, like this also changes, but you start from here and you don't finish inside, then nothing will happen. Now, this is one method. Now, you also have Vortex, edit Vortex, in which you'll be able to edit each and every vertices of that makes up your polygon, like thus. Now, you can right click over here and you can delete the vertex. Or you can add a right click and give insert vertex. You have those options over here also under your edit vertices toolbar. That is, you select this plus one, you can add vertex. You select this minus, you can delete vertices. Now, another option that you have is much more applicable in case of a line feature. That is, if you want to continue this, right now this is over. We have created a line over here, but I want to continue from this point. So I can use this edit vertex tool, and I can use the continue feature tool and start from the end as such. Now, suppose I want to start drawing from here, but the endpoint is as indicated by the red line. This red dot indicates the endpoint. Now, if you use this continue feature tool, you can only start from the endpoint. Suppose I want to start from here, or I want to, there might be a scenario in which you want to start from here. You can go to your vertex editing mode, select any line segment, any part of that feature, right click, use flip. Now you flip the entire line segment. Now if you start, you can start from here. Okay. Yeah, well, that's it right now. Now, rest of these tools we'll be seeing after when you have started with the land-based editing. And this one, and we have few more tools over here, that is clip. I have already shown you merge, clip, copy parallel, and split. Now this split is you're giving an actual distance into equal parts or all such kind of you can give distances using the split into equal parts. Number of parts, say into 10 equal parts, then it will create 10 equal parts. Now that is another split available, which again is not that widely used. But yeah, that's there if you want to use it. Well, I've not been able to use that till now. But if you find a scenario in which you want to use that, you can really use that. Well, so that's it for today's session. Now remember to save your edits frequently. Now, if something like this happens, it's too bad. All the edits that you have done could be a waste. Now, yeah, before you go, there is also an option in ArcMap called as under your customize mode. Go to keyboard, and you can assign shortcut keys to different shortcuts. Now, for example, Control S, which is our normal save command, is given to file save. Now, since I prefer using save edits as opposed to file save, I can reassign that, or I can give a new shortcut key. So I'll just type here save edits. Now category editor, I'll select this. I can give a new command shortcut key. I can give a sign. And now over here, if I give just Control S, the edits will be saved. Now, if I use this save, what is going to happen is, I'll just show you that before we wind up. So I have the saved edits as well as saved the map. I'm just going to close it. Now, next time when I want to open the data, I can just go here. Okay. Yeah, these are all the different shape files that we have created. One is for construct line. Now, a shape file will have multiple auxiliary files. It's not just a single file. So you'll have CPG, a DBF file, PRJ file. PRJ file is very important because that is going to store your projection. Then you have your SHP file. That is this one. This is the SHP file. And this is also another file that holds, no, this is actually a SHP file. This is SHX file, SBN X, SBX, SBN. Now, this is what was saved as an ArcGIS map document. Now you double click that, it opens up ArcMap. Now, if you don't give save edits, first of all, it'll take a lot of time to open. Now, the another thing is if you don't give save edits, only the UI, that is the layout, will be saved and not the data. So if this is the layout that was being saved, you get all these done, but the edits might not be saved. Now, if you see, I've lost a lot of, yeah, I've lost a few edits, I believe. No, I've not lost it. It's there. Now, doing this format, you might think that it is much easier, but trust me, going forward, when you start editing, this will cause you much more problems. Now, if you don't do that, you can just close it. You don't have this document saved.
So it's the problem. The problem because you clicked save.
No, that is file save.
So we have to say save as, yeah.
No, don't give save as. That's what I'm trying to say. File save, save as. Don't do that. The reason when
No,
you do
yeah.
that, what happened? Yeah.
I think there was an option that they were asking whether you should save it or not, but you say no.
Yes.
The one the no in the middle, you say no.
Yes.
We're supposed to take yes to save the edited
To
information.
save the edits, again, to save the edits,
Yes.
use this one, save edits.
Save edits. Okay.
Yes. This one, no, don't do that. See, even if you have used save edits, then you know the place where your data is. You can go to add data, bring in the data, add in your data one by one. Now, again, I forgot to mention that also first. Now, if you're adding a combination of vector and raster files, always add your vector files first. Now, the reason why I'm asking you to add your vector files first is that you see right now the coordinate system has not been assigned, it is unknown units. But if you assign a vector file first, what happens is that whichever the coordinate system has been assigned to your vector file, be it your shape file or your Geodatabase or anything for that matter, whatever the coordinate system has been assigned for that, that will be taken as a default by the system. So you can select everything and add it. Now you see the coordinate system has been automatically assigned.
Yeah, I'm looking at a situation whereby maybe the coordinates are set in UTM, and then you equally have in the other data that's coming, which is in degree, like in geographic degree.
Okay.
Yeah, is
Okay.
it going to what? Yeah.
So in that scenario, if your data frame is actually in an UTM zone like this, You can have the data displayed, that's fine. But try to convert this data that is currently in a projected coordinate system, that is currently in a geographic coordinate system, to a projected coordinate system. Now, there is a process how you can do that. That is under your Arc Toolbox, under data management tools, under projection transformation, you have an option called as project. Now, this project converts your data from one projection coordinate system to another projection system. That is from a coordinate system to another coordinate system. Now, use this to convert it into another one. Say I want to move the district boundary. Now select that. Now the input coordinate system, that is whichever the coordinate system of the district file is, that will be taken here. This is where you define a path to store the converted or transformed data. And then you have to specify the output coordinate system, which could be anything. Now, if you know the input and the output, it is possible for you to do this process and give OK. Now, which all these data, which was currently in GCS WGS 1984, is going to be converted to 1984 World Mercator. Now, if you want it in UTM zones, go to World UTM WGS 1984 and find out whichever zone it is in. Give OK, and you have converted it, and then bring that data here and do the edits in that particular converted data. Okay.
Yes.
Kailash, yes, you gave us a lot of information. Thank you for that. This is highly appreciated, but I'm not sure that I have grasped all what you have discussed today. I will try as much as possible to
know that.
the times that you gave us. Please let us know.
Don't worry about that. See, like
yeah,
I told you, I don't expect you guys to grasp all this in a single shot, but I want you to know that there are these many possibilities available. Try it. We'll be having 2, 3, 4 sessions just to finish this. Let's see what are the doubts that you come up with, and we will resolve them one by one from tomorrow.
That's appreciated. Yeah, I think we have to repeat it, and then we will grasp.
Of course, we'll have to do that.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys. Good night.
Bye.
Good night,
everybody. Good night.
Bye.
Good night. Very good night.
Thank you.